Let's freaking go. Let's freaking go. So do I even have PureBasic? I think the last time I did PureBasic, I did it on Debian machine, didn't I? Right. I think I did it on Debian machine, so it was a relatively long time ago, which is kind of interesting, isn't it? All right, so it's been quite some time, Hello everyone, and welcome to yet another recreational programming session with Mr. Zozin. So today I decided to revisit a language that I already kind of reviewed before. I don't like to call that a review, right? So because a review is kind of a huge responsibility for me, right? So reviewing means that you give it like a fair chance, which I usually don't, right? So I usually like open the project, just see what I can do with it, like fuck around with it, and I just close it, right? So this is not a review. Usually it's just like sort of a first impression. I already played with this particular programming language, and I'm gonna leave the link to the session in the description, and it didn't really go that well, right? And we ended up actually like trying a completely different implementation of Basic, which is a free Basic, right? So some time has passed, and I decided to give it another try, right? So let's see if it become less confusing, right? So let's see if it become less confusing. So as far as I can remember, the problem was that the first link was to 32-bit executable on Linux. They didn't fix that. so essentially they didn't explicitly say that this is 32-bit. They just put x86, and for 64 they just put x64. Right. So what's funny is that this is more of a Windows terminology. That's the thing. This is more of a Windows terminology. On something like Linux, instead of x64, you would say x86 64. Right, so this is what confused me. And I suppose the reason why it is Windows terminology is because they are primarily focusing on Windows, right? So it's, as far as I know, it's an educational project, right? For teaching people programming and stuff like that. What's interesting is that for Windows, they explicitly marked it as 32-bit and 64-bit. They even support ARM, look at that, that's actually kind of cool. But they didn't do that for Linux. And I remember somebody in the Discord server told me that they fixed the links. Where? Doesn't look like they fixed anything. Doesn't look like they fixed anything. Anyways, so, and they only support like very popular distros in here, like Debian and Ubuntu. Unfortunately, we don't use neither Debian nor Ubuntu. We're using, let's actually see, Neo, Fetch. Freaking gets me with it. This is Void, right? So this is Void essentially. Like, don't mind all of the memes. This is essentially Void. And I hope that maybe it will work on Void, because Linux is Linux, okay? So if we have the dynamic libraries that these particular executables are using, it may work, right? So the only thing we have to be careful about is not to click the first link. We have to download the second one because we are on a 64-bit machine, right? So yeah, x86, 64. This is the usual Linux terminology. x64 is more of a Windows one. So this is quite important. But anyway, so let's actually take a look at what we can do in here. So let's download this one. Let's start with the older one. Maybe it will work, maybe it will not work. We'll see, we'll see. The winner gets T, that's for sure. Let's fucking go. So we're gonna go into the download. So PureBasic. Is that a Z-bomb? Let's actually see. I do not quite remember. It is not a Z-bomb. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. That's already better job than Microsoft people did. Believe it or not. Right. So anyways. What do we have in here? Okay, so I don't remember where the binaries and stuff like that. PureBasic libraries, examples, compilers, register. Okay, so let's take a look at the README. Maybe at an install. Okay, installation. Create a private folder in apps. So, yeah. All right, so it wants some essentials and stuff like that. So maybe I can So there's a PureBasic help and PureBasic blah 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 blah. So can I find some files that are executable? Can I find? Okay. Ooh, holy shit! Wait a second. I don't remember that. Do they translate PureBasic to flat assembly and compile? Holy shit! I'm so sorry for shitting on your compiler. This is my people. Because I do that all the time. This is fucking... Did I notice that on the previous... Does anybody remember? Right, because I don't remember noticing that. Like, yeah, but anyway, so the problem is that I try so many different things all the time, so I may forget what I encountered in the previous... Yeah, I didn't. Okay, so thank you so much. So here's the PureBasic GTK2. So let me see what is that. So this is, in fact, ELF64 LSB executable. Okay. So LDD. Do we have anything missing? I feel like we don't have anything missing. It found all of the necessary libraries. Look at that. Look at that. It found all of the libraries, so that means we should be able to just run this entire thing. Right, so, but I mean, we'll probably have to create some sort of like a Simlink or whatever, but let's actually go and run PureBasic JTK2. There's also Qt version, look at that. Yeah, we can actually try Qt. So does it find? Yeah, so it found Qt libraries. Like I have both GTK and Qt. Like I have a lot of things installed. I don't know. I'm a huge fan of GTK2, so let's actually go. I should have actually done that slightly differently. Okay, and it worked. So this is a free version of PureBasic 6.20 Linux x64. Please have a look at the examples for the test programs. For version limitation, code size about. Well, I mean, 800 lines is out to be enough for everybody. Thanks a lot for using PureBasic. The Fantasize software team. Very cool. Thank you so much. All right, so is it possible, for instance, to have a dark mode in here? So is there any preferences? Maybe this is tool. Configure tools. Okay. So let me see, tools, configure tools, file, I found preferences, themes. Look at that. So there's some themes and what is a fam.co? So based on a silk icon set. Okay, so there's different themes of the icons. Ah, I see. So there's a PureBasic default theme created by Gary Willowby. I hope I pronounced their name correctly. So you can only change the theme of the icons, but I don't really see how you can change the theme overall because I want to have a dark theme. So maybe for the editor, yeah. So you have to. This is one of these things where you have to modify each. Well, not really. Black style. Yo, bruvskis, dark mode, perfection, perfection. So it still has this weird mode for GTK2, but I'm not sure if I can change that actually. Oh, I can zoom in and zoom out. That's already pretty cool. So it feels like this is Scintilla. Is that Scintilla? This must be Scintilla, I swear to God. It is Scintilla. Look at that. So you can actually do like rectangular selection like this, and I'm using the classical Scintilla key bindings, so I actually recognize it. So I worked with Scintilla before, so I know how it looks like. So I wonder if I switch to something like, oh, it wants to save it. What if I switch to something like Qt? Right, so maybe with Qt it's gonna be a little bit, probably Qt has a separate settings, unfortunately. Qt seems to be having a separate settings, so, but it has a little bit of better like styling and stuff like that, you know? It's kind of a little bit better styling. So here's the preferences, and so themes, yeah, so I have to save all of that separately, and coloring, I have to use the dark mode like that. So I suppose the rest of the coloring in here, the rest of the theming could be done using, you know, how to say that, the programs that configure the individual libraries, right? So, you know, for Qt, you have one tool that configures the style of the Qt applications. For JTK, you have another tool. And for different versions of JTK, you actually have different tools. So yeah, so MM2PL actually talking about it. Qt has its own thing. It probably respects Qt5CT. I don't even know what it is if you set that up. Or Qt6CT. So is that a tool that I can actually run? Qt6CT or Qt5CT? I can't even run any of these tools. So Linux is a mess, actually. Linux is a huge mess. So anyways, let's actually take a look at the examples, right? So we have some examples in here. So, and here's an interesting thing. We have 3D examples, right? So we have 3D examples. I wonder what kind of, like, what's the simplest example? And this is, by the way, the reason why, for example, in my programming languages, I actually try to sort examples in a particular order. Because if you sort example, you know, alphabetically, you don't really know for which example you want to like look from. Like what example you want to look from, right? So I want to look from a simplest example. What's the simplest example? What's the hello world, right? So I can search for hello world, but I can't find anything. So, and the way I do that, I stole that idea from Jonathan Blow. So let me actually fetch some changes from my programming language, P programming language. So origin main, right? So I have an examples folder and I just have this kind of a prefix, clean fdx, right? So essentially, and that kind of sorts all of the examples in a particular order, right? So, and the simplest examples at the top and the more complex one at the bottom, right? So you want to jump into the most complex one, you just go there. You want to start with the simple one, you go here. So yeah, so Jaya does a similar thing, and I think it's a pretty good idea, right? So it basically like sorts the files in a recommended by the author order. Right, so the authors of the examples will tell you in which order you may want to look into this kind of stuff. So, but anyways, PureBasic. So let's actually go in here. So, and I should look into some stuff. So there's also sources, for instance, right? And this is not 3D. This is sources. Like I want to take a look at the hello world, and there is no hello world anywhere in here, right? So this is not, you can do XML. You can do XML. Okay, so I wonder if I can just maybe search for hello world. Can you find like hello world? No, it's not a thing. So what if I search for just hello? Okay, so there's some hello in here. I close the compilation window. Okay, so there is a text 3D. So mail, so you can do mail, web view, sort, date UI with XML. You can have XML. Holy freaking shit. Okay. That's very interesting. Okay, so text 3D. So there's a text 3D that prints hello world. Okay, so maybe this is something that we want to do. So let's give it a try. So compile, PureBasic, might as well maybe execute that from here. OPT, PureBasic, compile, PureBasic JTK, right? So that's pretty cool. And let's open the examples. So this was text 3D, right? It was actually in 3D. Text 3D, there we go, PureBasic. Okay, so that looks pretty cool. Okay, so this is a repeat while end, while window event. Aha, so we have sort of like a nested loop in here. So this is an infinite loop until you push escape, right? Or a quit variable set to 1. And within that loop, we're draining the sort of like an event queue, right? So there are probably events we're receiving into the window, into the queue. We're draining all of them. Then we look at the keyboard, right? So then we rotate the entity, render the word, and flip the buffers. And that's pretty cool, right? So this is probably some sort of an initialization, right? This is some sort of an initialization, and okay, pretty simple. It doesn't even define any functions or anything like that. All right, so how can I build this entire shit? So the obvious thing that I would like to click is actually disabled. Like it is straight up disabled. I should be able to compile, right? So no such file or directory. LD returned one exit status. Okay, so we don't have LD. Specifically, we didn't have, well, I mean, I do have LD if I remember correctly. Right, so here's LD, but it's It's not in a user bin LD, right? So, but I mean, it's available. That's kind of weird. Yeah, cannot find. So it's the linker that said that it cannot find XX86 VM whatever. So it's something, some of the libraries that we have to install. Actually, very interesting. So maybe we should have to just follow the installation instructions, because I do remember the installation instructions told you what you have to install. Right, but at the same time, maybe we can just like follow the errors of the linker, right? So, and just like install whatever the linker tells us to install. So we can do query rs, search for this weird thing, and there you go. So here's the thing, like literally. So that means we can just go ahead and freaking install that. Who said we can't do that? So xbps install su. So let's fucking go. Hopefully I have enough space actually to install this kind of stuff. All right. So that was quick. That was actually quick. So let's try to compile it one more time. That is actually fucking awesome, honestly. So yeah. So this is what you can do out of the box. So you can start developing 3D games. Apparently, that's kind of cool. But how does it freaking work? Okay, how can I close it? I remember that you have to press escape. Okay, escape worked. Escape worked. So where do I have hello world? Okay, so here's the hello world. So let's say something like hello chat. Something like this. Okay, what are the... Okay, so shortcuts. F5. And there you go. Hello chat. That's actually kind of cool. What the fuck? All right. So what else can you do in here? I wonder. Can I maybe go to this and go to recent line? Nah. So there's a lot of functions in here, and I would like to maybe go to the definition or something like that. Because I want to kind of explore like what these functions do and stuff like that. So examine keyword. So help, well, I mean help. That's actually not bad. So updates the keyboard state. This function has to be called before using keyboard in K, keyboard push. So basically they have their own raylib. If I understood correctly, they essentially have their own raylib, almost as cool as Emacs. Yeah, that's pretty cool. So, and this is the library, right? So this is everything you have in here. So this is the key. That's a lot, actually. That's a lot of cool shit. So here's a pretty basic IDE, not really that interesting. 2D graphics. So is there any like they even have like a start drawing and stop drawing. So the 2D drawing library contains all the 2D rendering operations that can be performed on a visual area. Drawing a line, a box, a circle, or even a text is considered a 2D rendering orientation. The output of the drawing function is possible on a window, a screen, a sprite, an image, or the printer. More information can be found at start drawing. Okay, so start drawing. So change the current drawing output to the specified output. That is fucking awesome. Wait a second. All right. So, but how do I create? Okay, so window output. So window output returns the output ID of the given window. It will be using 2D graphics library. It can. Okay, how do I open window? So can I, so there should be O, maybe create window, maybe just window. Right, we can take a look at the code in example in here. So you usually initialize 3D engine, sprite, and stuff like that. Right, so you usually don't create the window. Yeah, so you have to initialize certain subsystems if you want to be able to do this kind of stuff. Yeah, so this thing already does a lot for you. Like I need something simpler. So line 17, okay. Open, okay. So it's just like literally, why didn't I see that? Why didn't I see that? It's part of the, it's a part of the Windows subsystem. Yeah, it's part of the Windows subsystem. Okay, I wonder if I can search some things, right? So how do I print to things to to the screen. So echo, is it right? I do not remember. How do I write a string? Does anybody know? Right, so maybe right. So there is a right character, right string. There you go. Look at that. Right string, and you write it to a specified file. So, but I just want to print this string. So there's a console library. Okay, so this is the console library. So the library allows the programmer to create console mode applications. Yeah, like I want hello world. So that's my problem with this kind of thing. Right, so I don't know where should I start. You just spill all of the examples and okay, so that's pretty cool. I want the simplest one. From which do I start? I don't freaking know. If they were sorted, then I could maybe start from somewhere, but now I don't even know where to start. Okay, console PB. Like I literally could have not figured that out by myself. Right, I could have not figured that out by myself. I needed somebody to tell me in the chat. Right, so it was just like, where do I start? Okay, so I start from here. Very cool. Thank you very much. So let's actually try to open some stuff in here. So that's my like first criticism in here. Apart from the confusing links that for some reason for Windows, look at that, they tell you exactly 32-bit, 64-bit. For Linux, fuck Linux users. Fuck, install the real operating system. Install the real operating system. Fuck Linux users. It's only for Windows users, right? Only for Windows users. Anyway, so let's take a look at the console. Right, so what is this $? Is that a part of the name? Right, is that a part of the name? I don't really know, so maybe it is in fact. So what's funny is that I have to open console. Okay, so then I have to... This is a full-blown control. This is like curses, right? I don't want to be able to set the console title. This is too much. I want to be... Okay, print. Can I just do the print without all of that mumbo-jumbo? That would have been kind of cool, right? So what if I just like, you know, do print? And by the way, when I did search, print was not first. Can anybody explain to me what's up with this search? I mean, I was complaining recently about GitHub search, but what the fuck is that? Excuse me. GitHub styles, exactly. Like, is... What is this? Bro, like, how is that even related? How this is even related to printing? How is that even related to printing? Anyways, I'm sorry. But it's just funny. It's not a really criticism, it's just kind of funny. So I wonder, so I'm going to create a new thing and I'm going to say, okay, print. It has LSP. It has autocomplete. This is just like cursor. Guys, look. I can just print and it press tab and it autocomplete. It has built-in AI. Holy shit. Anyway, so let's do hello world. And I wonder, how is it going to work with the console applications, right? So it's kind of interesting. So if I try to, I have to save it first, by the way. I have to save it first somewhere. Where should we save it? So I'm going to actually create a folder prob in here. And in here, I'm going to say hello, right? So it's a PB, right? Okay, I'm going to press F5. And so does it want me to have a semicolon or something like that? So what does it even say? Fail to execute, no console. You literally have to first open console, right? You literally have to first open the console, and it doesn't allow me to modify anything, and it feels like it literally threw an exception, right? And it's just like sort of in a breakpoint mode or something. This is rather interesting. How can I make it go out of that? Because I want to be able to modify my stuff. Right, I want to be able to modify my thing. I mean, it's pretty cool that it broke, but okay, I'm gonna... I try... Okay, I'm gonna try to open this thing one more time. Just a second. So I'm not gonna modify anything. Let me try to open it. Like, I don't know what the fuck was that. And I'm not really sure why it blocks any input if it throws an exception. That's kind of weird. That is kind of weird. But I had to literally reopen my tab again just to be able to do that. So anyway, so we have to open console, right? So open console. Like this, right? So, and we can quickly F1 and just look what exactly we expect in here, right? So what's funny is that it has this dollar, and I'm really not sure what the fuck that dollar is supposed to mean, especially considering that the name in that example also contained dollar. I wonder if I can just say, so hello world in here. Right, and after that I have to do close console, right? So I have to do close console. Let's see. So what does it have in here? By the way, does it open a new thing every time? So every time I do F1, okay, so it's cool. It doesn't reopen the new window. It uses the same window. This is actually a very cool workflow, right? It's actually a very cool workflow where I can just like type some function, right? So I don't know, open window. Okay, I found an interesting thing. Open window. I want to look what it is. Okay, that's pretty cool. I'm gonna go back in here, print. Okay, look at that. So you can establish a pretty efficient workflow with this IDE. This is pretty cool. I really like that. So anyways, okay, so I press Ctrl D hoping that it's going to remove the line, but it actually duplicated the line. I wonder, okay, so does it have the standard scintilla key bindings and stuff like that? Right, so doesn't look like it. So I usually remember there was a way to move a line around by holding Alt or Shift or something like that. Doesn't look like I can do that. Right, so, and removing the line is Control K. Control L? I don't remember. So is there any commands in here? So you can only duplicate the line by pressing D, right? So it allows you to create more code, but doesn't allow you to remove the code easily. Understandable. Anyways, Control X maybe we can try. So Control X, nah, doesn't work. Anyways, F5. And program execution has finished. Nothing literally happened. Nothing literally happened. So add input. Okay, so I suppose it's kind of similar to writing console applications on Windows in Visual Studio, right? So essentially it will show you command line thingy, and then since you don't have any input, it's going to like go away immediately, right? So let's take a look at the input. So allows the program to catch the entire line. Okay, so this is actually good. I'm still wondering what the fuck is dollar. I'm pretty sure somebody in the chat already told me what the fuck dollar means, but I already skipped that. Right, so what is that? What's so special? Right, is that a paid feature? I swear, the PureBasic is paid, isn't it? Right, so here's the ordering and stuff. Yeah, this is a paid feature. Right, so you have to pay 79 euros to okay, oh, I see what you did there. I see what you marked paid fee. I'm so sorry. Anyway, so we have to put an input in here, so let's actually put an input. Let's go. Okay. I wonder if it created some sort of... I should have looked into the console where I actually executed this thing. Okay, so it did in fact print it hello world. We don't even need input, honestly. We don't even need input. So, okay, so I probably have to stop this entire thing. It doesn't stop. Debugger, stop. Okay, kill. We managed to kill it. Oh, and by the way, maybe this is exactly what we had to do in here. So how do you do comments? Okay, so the comments are just like in assembly, right? If I try to do something like that, and if I, okay, so it crashes, and then I have to kill the okay, that explains what I had to do in here. So to allow modification, like, what the fuck is going? So essentially, when the program crashes, that fucks up the entire IDE. So somehow, I have no idea how, but it somehow fucks up everything. So there is this. you I didn't, excuse me, no, I didn't set shit. My program just crashed and the breakpoint appeared out of nowhere. I didn't set anything. Please do not shift blame on me. Please do not tell me that I'm holding it wrong. Okay, my program crashed. It blocks the input. It sets the breakpoint. It fucks up IDE. I don't know what to do. Excuse me. So there's something wrong in here. But having said that, it doesn't mean that it's bad, right? So it's just I'm just pointing out the problems that I encounter as I'm trying to use this entire thing. So don't take it too personally, right? So far, by the way, I like it. So far, I like it. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to figure out how do I adapt this weird, quirky IDE, right? So just because it's weird and quirky doesn't mean it's useless, just like myself. Though, that's questionable, though. Anyway, so I'm trying to, so the breakpoints, the debugger breakpoints. Okay, so clear breakpoints doesn't work. Clear breakpoints doesn't work. So breakpoint if not, and by the way, it actually added more things to the breakpoint. Okay, I'm gonna reopen the tab. I'm sorry, I give up. I think I'm too dumb to understand how to work with it. Did you get the paid ID? I remember something it did. Ah, right. So maybe this is because it's a free ID. So that explains it. Anyway, so far, like I kind of like overall feeling, right? It has a little bit of a quirks, but again, just because something has quirks doesn't mean it's useless. For example, look at the JavaScript. I can argue that JavaScript has way more quirks than this. Honestly, this thing is a PQX compared to JavaScript. Yet, look how much money people make on JavaScript. Just saying, right? Again, so just pointing out quirks, it doesn't mean that it's that bad. Right, so don't take it too seriously. Don't take it too seriously. Anyway, so we can open consoles, we can print some things and stuff like that. So we can even probably try to do this thing one more time. So I'm gonna just do that and look at that. So here's Hello World. One thing I would like to do, maybe, can I like escape and put new line in here? There we go. Apparently you cannot. This is not how you escape string literals. Okay, so is there any you know, tutorials on, okay, so there's an introduction. Like, is there any documents on string literals, so support, documentation, online documentation? But maybe this is something that we can have in here. So here's the content, the PureBasic IDE, the reference manual, but the basic string literals. Okay, string. So here is the string. String are the methods. So this is a module for manipulating strings and stuff like that. So the string PB, yeah. Okay, so basic string literals escaping. I want to actually, tutorial, thank you, C++. And by the way, so ignore the videos. Like, okay, so even don't ignore the videos. The first result, C#, multi-billion-dollar corporation. Okay, you may say, okay, Zozin, but you put basic, so it matched word basic. And said, no. Multi-billion-dollar corporation has all the data about me, invests heavily into AI, very smart systems, and it can't even figure out, right, that, like, I was Googling around things, like, I opened even basic, right? So don't they have, like, Google Analytics and stuff like that to kind of get the context what I'm looking? Like, for multi-billion-dollar corporation, that should be easy. You're not logged in. Google doesn't care. Flash news, Google doesn't give a shit where you logged in or logged out. They track you anyway, everywhere. Even if you use Firefox, they don't give a shit. Anyway, so yet they provide shared service. It reminds me of a meme. I think somebody posted it on Discord or something like that. It's just like, okay, Google, and Google responds, your microphone is muted, right? But how do you know? Wait the fuck. Anyways, String literals. Okay, so maybe PureBasic. PureBasic string literals, multiliteral string, PureBasic forms, generals, rules. Not found. Okay, very cool. Ooh, look at that. Look at that. So CHR. Literal strings are declared using character. Escape sequences are supposed to be using the... Before the allowed escape sequences are... Wait. It's a separate kind. Dollar again. It's a paid feature again. Anyways, so let's give it a try. So I suppose I have to put, right, so a cute string in here. And it put a new line. Look at that. So I'm going to actually print it one more time. Yeah, so this is a cute string, right? This is a cute string. You put this thing in here and it becomes normal, right? So it allows you escapes and stuff like that. This is actually kind of based, right? So by the way, there is no escapes by default, but then you explicitly say that you want to escapes. But then it's kind of difficult. It feels like you can make a mistake, right? Yeah, so it's a cute string. It's a very cute string. All right, so that's pretty cool. So I wonder, so this is develop as. I wonder, like, yeah, I'm not sure if I can easily find this kind of stuff, right? So for example, string, and yeah, so this is not particularly useful. Yeah, so we'll have to use Google for all of that stuff. We'll have to use Google. All right, so let's do the following thing. And by the way, I feel like it didn't change the title of the terminal, honestly. It didn't change the title. All right, let's freaking go. So let's say, hello, what is your name? Right, so name, and I suppose I have to put a dollar in here, right? So I'm going to put that, input, and then in here I'm going to say print hello, and I have to now print the name, but I don't know how to format the strings in PureBasic. So it's, okay, this is interesting. So there is a print n, displays text in the console and adds, ooh, this one is actually pretty cool. Maybe this is what should we use in here instead. So let me take a look. There should be some way to format the strings. Though we can always do the following thing. Look, chat. Look. So print print name, right? Print name, and then print new line, like so. So now I'm gonna try to run it, and hello, what is your name? My name is Alexei. And it switched here and it said hello Alexei, and it's also quit, right? So this is basically the conversation. So we know how to do input, we know how to do output, and so on and so forth, right? So that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. And I really like that it's sort of like obviously very much designed for teaching programming, right? So it's very much designed for teaching programming. It doesn't have any entry point or any of that fluff, right? So where you have to like have begin or end or whatever, just like you straight up start doing things and just they just work, right? This is, by the way, the reason why Python is now used for teaching programming as well, because you can just start writing things. You don't have to explain a lot of extra stuff to the students, right? So this is one of the problems that teachers who teach programming had with Java, for instance. They try to, maybe they still do, they try to like teach Java in schools and universities to people who never programmed at all in their entire life. And did you see Hello World in Java? Did you fucking see Hello World in Java? Hello World Java. Right, so imagine like explaining Hello World in Java to people who never fucking see programming their entire life. Right, so you put, like, show them that, and what do you even tell them? Just ignore all of that except that, like, the person doesn't even fucking know what you're on about by showing them this text, right? So this is like impossible to teach programming on at all, right? So it's just like too much fucking noise, which is absolutely useless. And I suppose this is one of the reasons why C#, by the way, just removed all of that craft specifically so they can probably be adapted in universities and schools, right? So languages that are designed for teaching programming should be like that. like even Pascal is not that easy to use because it requires begin and end and stuff like that. So this is much better, right? Just like start with that. So yeah, exactly, and this is a problem, right? It's from the pedagogical point of view, this is a huge fucking problem, right? So when you're teaching programming, you should not be telling your students like, do not worry about this weird ass shit. Like you should not be telling them, if you should not worry about this weird ass shit should not exist in the first place, at least for the teaching purposes, right? So like it's understandable from the point of view of like an industry developer, right? So because they have classes, they have architecture and stuff like that. But again, we're teaching programming. We should not be starting from that. So we should not be starting from that. That's for sure. So let me change the title because I think this one doesn't really work. Programming in Basic, right? So we have a new title. Okay, so that's pretty cool. So what else should we write? So we know how to write Hello World. We know how to do some other things. Let's actually try to do graphics, right? So let's try to open a window. So because all that stuff is kind of boring, this is kind of a half of the century old technology, right? So we had graphical interfaces like for 30 years already, even more, right? So let's actually move on to the new age. Right, so let's do graphics stuff. Let's take a look at the window library, right? So there was a library for creating window. So there's actually two of them apparently. So there's a window and there's also a window 3D. Look at that. So there's two of them. And I suppose window 3D is for creating 3D applications, but we're gonna start with the 2D applications. Okay, so here's the first thing we have to do. We have to open the window. By the way, I want to check something super quick because like I literally forgot to check that. What if I remove this dollar? Does it change anything? Trying to write a string into... Oh no. It's type. It's a fucking type. It's type. Think... It's type. Well, I mean, it has types. It has types. It check types. That's good. Types are good. Oh boy. All right, let's go. Anyways, so now we know at least. Now we know. So apparently there's like variables of different types and stuff like that. Type is type. Type is type. Exactly. Okay. Open the window. I can actually split it. Okay, look at that. I can split things. So that's rather convenient, isn't it? So a window, and I have to specify the window. That's kind of sus. Right. So opens a new window according to the specified parameters. But what is the... Oh, it's a number. Number to identify the new window. Okay. So through the hash means number and dollar means a string. So I want to experiment. I need to know. I'm sorry that I keep postponing, but I really need to understand. If I do something like that, this is not going to compile. It did in fact compile. All right. So can I print number? Right, I can't really print that thing. Bad parameter, a string expected. Okay, so but if I... Yeah, okay, this is already a number. But then, what if I put something like this? All right. So this or this works, but then this... So I suppose this, this and this... I'm sorry. This and this are identical. So you have to do print str and stuff like that. But I mean, I understand you decide to backseat me, but you have to realize that you're watching a Soding stream. You knew what you signed up for. People tell me that I'm acting dumb for engagement. I'm not acting dumb. I'm thoroughly trying things because I'm trying to understand them. It's kind of like, honestly, it's kind of weird that people perceive trying to understand something by experimenting with that as being dumb. And I'm not accusing you of calling me dumb, by the way. I'm just, telling you my observations, because people, when they see me for the first time, they tell me, bro, stop acting dumb. And this is not what I'm doing, actually. This is not what I'm doing. I'm intentionally like trying different things from different angles because I'm trying to understand it. I'm trying to internalize it. This is how children learn things. Maybe that's why people think I'm acting dumb, because I learn things the way children do. Right. So, and I think people should actually relearn how to learn things the way I do, right? Because they're too afraid to look dumb. You know what's my advantage? I don't feel insecure about that, right? So a lot of people just don't do what I'm doing because they're afraid that somebody's gonna tell them, stop acting dumb. I don't care. I'm just learning things, right? So if you're so afraid of looking dumb, you're not gonna learn anything. Well, in that case, well, good luck with that. Cheers. Failing isn't perceived correctly for being a staple of the learning process. Exactly. So yeah. And I'm trying different things, and I'm doing that intentionally, right? So I'm just like, you see the reaction of the compiler, see the reaction of the system. So that's what I'm doing. Okay. Right. So it's kind of interesting, right? So I'm still not sure if that is equivalent to that, but I feel like it is. But anyway, let's actually continue learning. So as you can see, we encounter some weird bits and pieces throughout the documentation and stuff like that. But then we kind of over time discover what they mean, right? Over time we discover what they mean. So there is obviously a difference between the hashed thing and not hashed thing. So we don't really know what it is, but I'm pretty sure we're going to discover it at some point. So maybe without any hashes or anything like that. It's funny is that hash is actually from the left side, not just that, but the dollar is from the right side. So it's not even consistent in that regard, right? So it's not even consistent in that regard. So interestingly, if I put this thing in here, like test, and try to compile it, still compiles, right? So it works fine. I don't know what's up with that. But anyway, so open window, right? So we're supposed to put some ID in here. So, and I suppose I can put whatever ID, so it's going to be 69, right? So this is just a number to identify the new window. PBAny can be used to auto-generate. Oh, this is actually kind of cool. PBAny. So what's up with PBAny? All right, so they don't really point directly to PBAny. It doesn't have Control F, by the way, unfortunately. But it's basically one of the objects. Okay, so we can actually put PBAny then. All right, so PBAny. Okay, so it automatically suggests me that. So then we have to specify the position. My neighbors are fucking doing something. In the middle of the night, by the way. Motherfuckers gonna sleep or not? Well, I'm not sleeping, but anyway. So inner width and inner height. Inner width and inner height. Okay, so let's actually do the usual 800 by 600. So that's what we have. And the title. Okay, so I don't know. So hello from PureBasic. Okay, so that's pretty cool. I wonder, like, is there any example on how to proceed with all of that? We can try to maybe just run the whole thing. It did something. I saw something flashing. But I mean, that didn't really mean anything. So is there something like close window? So there is a way to close a window. Let me see. And it accepts the ID of the window. But where do we even get that ID? So if I just try to compile this entire thing, it's not going to compile. Close window, incorrect number of parameters. So, and I suppose it probably returns that ID as a result, right? So if we take a look at the result, flags. You can specify the flags, but it's optional parameter apparently. So non-zero if the window was created. So if PB_any was used for window parameter, then the generated number is returned on success. Okay, so that means we can put ID, and then I can close this ID, right? And I'm gonna do that, and that works. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. I'm really happy about that. So I have a feeling that maybe hash is associated with objects or something like that. It must be associated with some sort of objects, but I'm not 100% sure about that. All right, so what else do we have in here? Do I have like how do I organize event loop? Right, so there was a window event. I do remember that. Check if an event was has occurred on any of the opened windows. All right, so when you have some events and stuff like that. Ooh, this is cool. Repeat, correct way to handle an infinite event loop is window event. If event, you can actually check for certain events and stuff like that. And then until event is PB event close window. So this must be some sort of also enumerations. I'm so fascinated by this hash system. I'm really fascinated by this hash system, but anyway. Right, so I'm gonna do a repeat. So until, oh, I hate until because it kind of inverts the logic of while. So until event, so that means while it's not equal to PB, right, what was that? Event close window. And what we have to do is event equal to window event. All right. And here's the window. That's pretty cool. So that is actually pretty progress. Not gonna lie. So that's yeah, it's basically, it's even smaller than freaking Reddit. It's even smaller than Reddit. All right, so let's take a look at the subs. People have been subscribing and gifting subs and stuff like that. So let me see. So thank you so much, Soft Dream, but that was, yeah, so that was an hour ago. Landens, Simply Great Crow, The Space Herb, thank you so much for gifting 20 subs. Thank you, thank you, thank you. A Stupid Engineer, thank you so much for the sub with a message. Good evening, Mr. Zezin Bazizin. Yes, it's a me. Pugus Amugus. All right, so what can I do in here? So there's different events, and yeah, so there's the event, maybe right click or left click. Okay, so, and if we try to maybe do the following thing, if, so it was, an event was in a queue, so process it. Aha. No event, let the other apps get some CPU time too. Yeah, otherwise it's gonna be busy looping. That is true. That's a good point. Usually in the event loop, you want to have a little bit of a delay so you do not busy loop. That makes sense. Okay, so if event, right, so we can process it. We can probably check what kind of event is. It automatically capitalizes the things. Look at that. It automatically capitalizes. Can I check that left click? And maybe in here, right, so they have to do then. I think I don't have to do then, yeah. So it's just that, and if, yeah, something like that. So, and what I do in here, I want to print, but I probably won't be able to print anything. So left click. So in here, we're gonna do delay 1, and I wonder what's the delay 1 though. What's the delay 1? So let me see. So it's a time, but time in milliseconds. So 1 millisecond. In that case, I think we can give it like maybe 10 milliseconds, right? So, so what's the 1/16? I think it's yeah, 16 milliseconds. So we're gonna do you know, 60 FPS, 60 FPS like this. All right. So, and I'm pretty sure it's not going to work, right? So it's gonna crash at runtime and completely fuck up my IDE, right? So, but maybe it's worth it. Maybe it's worth it. So let's actually try to do that. And yeah, so as you can see, it completely fucked up my IDE, but it did so on a left click, right? So in the debugger, so I want to kill the program. I kill the program, so the breakpoints are still there. Can I clear breakpoint? It didn't clear the breakpoints, right? So it still keeps this weird thing in here. I don't know why, but and it's just like it keeps showing. So maybe it's just the last crash, but it's kind of annoying, right? So like I don't want it to be here. It's just like why are you doing that to me? But anyway, I wonder if I can do console, like open console, right? So what was the open console? Yeah, so you have to specify the title, right? So, and in here is gonna be, can I just have something like, you know, title, like this, and we can put the title, the same title, title, like this in here and in here. So that's pretty cool. So after that, we should probably close the console, console and this thing. All right, let's fucking go. So we have a window, we can process input. All right, so that's pretty cool. So I can work with that. It's a programming language, it's an environment, it's a library, it has a lot of cool things. We can write a game with that. Yeah, so I'm really sad that I couldn't immediately make it work on my previous session, because this is awesome, honestly. This is fucking awesome. Is it worth 79 euros? For me personally, no. But maybe for somebody who's like, it's kind of difficult to tell. Not yet. Yeah, definitely not yet. It's kind of difficult. This is really worth 79 because I feel like free basic, but free basic doesn't give you like 3D. You see, I'm an open source person. It's kind of difficult for me to evaluate if the software worth certain money, because I usually get software for free and I give software for free. So this is not the usual way I monetize my software, right? So it's kind of difficult for me to assess. So maybe because of that, I should not be doing that, right? So I'm not assessing whether it's worth 79 euros, that's for sure. PureBasic as a platform for B. If I understood correctly, what this thing does, it just generates flat assembler. And I wonder, does it even output flat assembler anywhere? Right, so this is PB. Maybe it puts that into TMP, right? So, okay, so here's the output, and it's literally an ELF. So this is the output. All right, so I'm just looking at the temporary folder and I don't really see anything special. It's kind of interesting. Maybe it's just like literally pipes the flat assembler into something, but anyway. Okay, so I would like to maybe draw something on the screen. Brovskis. I want to draw something on the screen. So for that, we probably need to 2D drawing, I suppose. So there's a 2D drawing library. A 2D drawing library contains all the 2D rendering operations that can be performed on the visual area. Honestly, maybe it is worth it for schools, right? So for software engineers, it's probably not worth to pay, you know, this amount of money, because they can like get more powerful tools for free. But here we have an integrated environment that just has everything, right? To start teaching programming without telling their students, oh, don't worry about this weird public static void main, don't worry about that. It's gonna bother the students the entire time, but the teacher now has to say, don't bother. No, they have everything, and they can just start teaching things, right? So you can right away get some dopamine hits, like seeing 3D stuff and everything. It's relatively self-explorable. I really like how it's relatively self-explorable, where I can just like select something, right? So, and I just can look documentation, and I can maybe start typing something, and it will start showing me potential functions. Open database. I didn't know it works with databases. Okay, so now I can do F1. All right, so there is a database module. Let's read about it. Like, it's self-explorable. That's what I like about this thing. I really like self-explorable systems. I can just poke around, find some cool shit, dig in. Okay, that's cool. So this is something that I appreciate. Right. It's a little bit quirky. It fucks up my IDE when it crashes. But again, it doesn't mean it's useless. It's pretty cool overall. SQLite, so we can work with SQLite, so we can, yeah, so it's just, that's kind of cool. And it works with a lot of things, right? So Here's some links about SQL syntax. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Know that. Honestly, if I were to teach like students programming, I might use this thing. But honestly, I think for teaching programming in Russia specifically, we do have a similar systems. I think a similar system to that in Russia that is actively used. I think it's Pascal ABC. So yeah, I'm not sure if there is anything in English. There should be like a web page in English. Yeah, so here's the web page in English. Right, so it's a new generation Pascal programming language that combines simplicity of classic Pascal and great number of modern extensions and the broad capabilities of Microsoft .NET framework. It compiles to .NET framework. We have Huya. I wouldn't recommend to use it for teaching people, but yeah, so something like that. Like I should probably give it a try at some point. I should probably give it a try, but I mean, I'm not sure if it works on Linux. This thing works on Linux, and I really like that. Right. So we'll see. So if anyone wants to check out, so this is what we use in Russia. And on top of this thing, I think we even have a couple of like Cyrillic based languages for teaching kids programming, like Kumir or something. But anyway, so today we're focusing on PureBasic. So there's a database and stuff like that, but we want to do some 2D drawing, right? So let's actually see, and it's a little bit fucked up, but that's fine. So 2D drawing library contains all the 2D rendering operations that can be performed on a visual area. Drawing a line, a box, a circle, or even text is considered 2D rendering operation. Okay, so let's take a look at the start drawing. Output ID. To draw on, it can be obtained with the following functions. Okay. Window output, and you specify the ID of the window. That is absolute shooting, meine Freunde. Absolute fucking shooting. Okay, so what we can do in here, honestly, we can essentially just do drawing in here. So what I'm thinking is that we're gonna drain all of the events. We're draining all of the events, and as soon as we get something that there is no event, let's try to just draw something in there. But maybe this is not a particularly great idea, honestly. So we probably want to move. I want to be able to move around the lines. This is inconvenient, but now I have to like copy paste and put stuff in here. Anyway, I'm sorry. Okay, so I wonder what can I do? Can I repeat and get event? Right, and then if event is one of these things, so what I'm trying to do, chat, I'm trying to organize a loop that until, I don't know, event is no more, right? Until event is no more. How do I do that? So is there like an infinite loop? Does anybody know in PureBasic? Right, so in PureBasic, infinite, like loops. Let's actually learn about loops in PureBasic. Loops. I need some loops, brother. Oh! That's really funny. Okay, so what if I say repeat for ever? Repeat forever. Okay, so and otherwise else break. So this is what I want, right? Essentially what I want to have in here is just a repeat. We're draining the event pipe, handling the events, and once we're done, we're going to be delaying a little bit, but between that and delaying, we can try to draw something. Start drawing, right? And we have to use window output. And we obtain the window output from the ID, right? So that's what we're doing in here. So we start drawing. That's pretty cool. So after that, we have to stop drawing. So, and how do you do that? You just say stop drawing. Okay, that's pretty cool. And between start drawing and stop drawing, we have to do things, right? So we have to draw something. Start drawing and stuff like that. Change the current state of specified output, blah, blah, blah. What we can do, can I draw a rectangle? Draw image, well, it would be kind of cool, but I want to draw a rectangle. Do you have a rectangle, my friend? Box. Okay, so draw a box of a given dimensions with a specified color. Color is, oh, you literally use RGB. Okay, so let's do a box, a box, a box, and RGB, let's say, is going to be red. So absolute shooting. Very cool. Very, very cool. You know what? You know what? Let's specify le position of the box. For example, 0, and is going to be y, x and y, and let's actually put this thing in here, x and y. Boom. Cool. How do I get the coordinates of the window on a click? I want to set x and y where I click. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? All right, let's see. So the next event from the event queue, blah, 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 it always returns immediately. Event can be used to get back this value. Okay, 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 okay. Window event. Aha, window mouse X, window mouse Y. That's cool, that's cool. Window mouse Y. Okay, so window mouse X. I'm getting used to the text editor, so this is going to be ID. I suspect it is ID, so let me take a look at the documentation. It is exactly Windows ID. So then I can duplicate this entire thing, and okay, boom. Hold your tradings, hold your tradings. It doesn't redraw the thing, but it's almost absolute trading. It's almost absolute trading. Do you have something like clear? There should be something like clear for the 2D library, right? So let's actually see. Where is the 2D? Do you have clear? I don't see that. I honestly do not see that. How do you clear? I'm starting to suspect that I have to put a box. Make the cursor behind the middle. We haven't finished yet. Don't jump ahead too much, right? So you can fill area. All right. So fill an area starting from X and Y position until the outline color. Oh, you can actually, you know, fill bucket, right? So it's like a bucket tool. Back color. It sets the default back color for graphics function and text. It's just a back color. It's a front and back and stuff like that. So is there a dedicated function to cleaning out the area? So something dedicated, because obviously what I can do, I can just do box 0 and what's the width and height. I can just like, I can literally do something like that, right? It's going to be RGB and I cannot even give a shit, right? So it's super easy. It is super fucking, I'm not struggling with that, right? So because quite often people see me struggling with that and think, oh, Zozin is dumb, he doesn't. I do know how to solve the problem. Is there anything dedicated, right? So I feel like I have to explicitly say that I don't encounter any real problem in here. The real problem is just like, is there anything dedicated, right? So because I can always hack things around. I'm a professional software developer. I've been paid a lot of money for literally solving problems in the hackiest way as quickly as possible. I can do that. It's not a problem. Is there anything proper, dedicated? So people say something like clear screen. Okay, let's actually explore. Clear screen. Right, so clear screen, and it's part of the screen. The whole screen, but why doesn't it accept window? Why is it not part of the 2D drawing? It has to be always called outside, start drawing and start. It is related to 2D drawing, but it's not. That is a really bizarre function. This is a really bizarre function. So you can open screen, but it's a no, screen is a new code. It's a different thing. It's a different thing. It's a kind of like it's one of the rendering targets. This is a, yeah, I feel like this is a false, yeah, so you debating me. Do not debate Zodin. Do not debate Zodin. Please do not debate Zodin. Zodin doesn't appreciate that. So I feel like there is nothing dedicated. Did I miss anything? So back color, it just sets the default back color for graphics functions and text display, right? So what does it mean? I don't even know what it means. So the new color to be used as the background color, this color can be used in RGB. Oh yeah, so in RGB, yeah, I don't know. Flip buffers, but it's not part of 2D, or is it? There is no such function in 2D drawing. One of the things, maybe there is something in window, right? So because cleaning the screen is in the screen, so cleaning the window must be something in here. So there's only close window. Okay, so yeah, there's nothing dedicated. So we're gonna assume that there's nothing dedicated for that. Unfortunately, there is nothing dedicated for that, and then we're gonna move on accordingly. I would like to maybe, do you have like a hexadecimal? Set window color, okay, set window color, but it sets the color, changes the background of specified window, but it's not going to clean. I think you guys don't understand what I'm saying. You guys don't understand what I'm saying. Set window color. Yeah, you can get the, yeah, so maybe I could do output width and output size. Like this just sets properties. I need action that does the cleaning. Just because I set some property does not necessarily mean it's gonna clean anything. Okay, so let's actually close this chapter. Right, so let's actually consider that solved. Let's use boxes. We couldn't find right away how to clean a window, so that means it's not really obvious. Maybe it is obvious in some examples, but who cares, whatever. It's not obvious, right? So that's what I'm saying. It's not obvious. All right, how do you do PureBasic? So hex literals. What's the hex literals? Yeah, okay. That's not what I wanted actually. So hexadecimal literals. Google, please stop being dumb. Please use your ad money. Google, start using your ad money for providing good fucking content. I'm fucking begging you, brovsky. All right, so decimal, hexadecimal. That is really weird. What exactly in this thing indicates hexadecimalness? Like, is that this thing? But is that the quote? But if I put a quote, how many of the leading zeros do I have to have in here? Only one, or exactly 4 and 2? So I don't know. I'm looking at the wrong. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm already getting tired. I'm sorry. I actually didn't realize. Okay. So PureBasic. So base. Aha, it's $1. All right. So it's actually $1. So can I now say, right? So okay. So it highlights all of this stuff. So I want to do something like this. There we go. So that looks good. That actually looks good, and I can also move these things around. That is absolute freaking trading. So yeah, so maybe let's make a small break, shall we? Let's make a small break. I want to make a small break. I want to make a cup of tea, and after we have a cup of tea, we can continue. We can make something animated, right? So we can make this thing move around and whatnot. Right, so maybe we could interact with this kind of stuff. So that's kind of cool. Or maybe we could try 3D, right? Because kind of like 2D is kind of boring. Right, we've been doing 2D for too long. Maybe the time has come to try some 3D. Anyway, so let's make some break, and we are back. So let's actually try to do some 3D. So if I understood correctly from at least the name of the modules, you have to use Window 3D. The Window 3D allows to create complex graphical user interfaces directly over the screen area using the 3D engine. This is mainly intended for game or application which needs user inputs while running in full screen. This library is based on the regular PureBasic Windows library and offers similar syntax and behavior. The GUI engine used is CE GUI, which offers some nice options like skinning, good speed, and a lot of built-in gadgets. That's actually really interesting. I never heard about it. So it's a GUI library from UK. Is UK known for their exceptional GUI libraries? I never heard about it, actually. Yeah. Kid. Have you guys heard about any of that stuff? Does it have a GitHub or something? So there is an issue tracker. Okay. So it's a SIGUI, okay. So what is it written in actually? It is written in Z++ and a little bit of Lua and a little bit of a C, but primarily in Z++, a Z++ library. Okay. So what does it say? Crazy Eddie's GUI library is a versatile, fast, adjustable, multi-platform C++ library for creating graphical user interface for games and rendering applications. Holy fucking shit. So that's kind of interesting. So they're using that. But I'm actually not sure. So there's also sound. Should we do sound? Is there any... Okay, so you can load sound. So you have to specify an ID. Number to identify a new sound. Okay, so we can also use PBAny and stuff like that. So then you have to provide a file name. You can use OGG. So you have to do init sound, right? Okay. So this one is interesting. We want to do 3D. We're gonna do 3D. Don't worry about it. Right. So init sound. All right. So that's the first thing we have to do. So we initialize the sound. I'm not sure if I want to actually I check if it failed or not. I don't think it matters. Use OGG sound. What kind of sound? Okay. So there is some sounds in 3D. All right, so example 3D, and what was that? It was data. So do we have some data? Okay, siren, roar. Okay, so I'm gonna try to maybe listen to... Okay, so siren. My stomach growling. Okay, so open game art. So open game fart. Speaking of, do you have a fart sound? Fart song. Medieval fart. This is not a fart. I want farts. Synthetic farts, okay. Okay, so there's several of them, by the way. Okay. So here are the farts. Whoopee 1, whoopee 2. Alright, let's fucking go. OPT pure demo. So probe. And I'm gonna move the farts in here and let's unpack the farts. Which one is better? I can't hear shit in this mist because they're too quiet. Just a sec, mind finder, just a sec. Let's make them louder. This doesn't sound like a good fart, honestly. But this one sounded alright. No. Ghost fart. So it's a fart song. There's no good fart sound in open game art, honestly. There is no good fart sound, unfortunately. Fart OGG. There's one on Wikipedia. I'm really curious. To 2 seconds, by the way. It's what's the license? What's the license? Some rights reserved. Okay. Wikipedia saves the day. Some the author of the fart reserved all the rights. It's not a bad fart, honestly. So can I? Yeah, can I done? That was very loud, but anyway, at least for me. Let's go and maybe put this thing in here. So let's save it somewhere here. It's actually really good that it's OGG. Fake fart. It does sound a little bit fake, but well, what can we do? What can we do? All right, so compile. Yeah, you have to specify. You have compile home, right? Which is kind of interesting. Isn't hash a number? Apparently, it is not. But anyways, okay. So load sound. Let's actually assume that maybe we can do something like that. So it's going to be siren, and we can just have fart OGG. So if I understand correctly, regarding the load sound, you can specify PB any, right? So to just generate anything in here, and here is the fart. So we're saving that to a fart variable. Okay, and then you can play sound, I'm pretty sure. Let's actually play the sound every time we click. I think that's fair. So play sound. Let's take a look at this kind of thing. So we have to specify the sound, which is fart. And let's try to do that. So, and it didn't work. So really interesting. Specify sound not initialized. Aha, so that means it didn't really find anything. So let's actually kill the program. And I wonder where does it find it. So load sound. This is not what I wanted, honestly. I want you to do F1. So you can specify the compile folder. Okay, so let's actually specify the compile folder, right? So, and we know that we do have that in prob somewhere, right? So it's in the prob. So wasn't it plus OG? Well, I mean, it's plus, there you go. So let me see. And it still doesn't work. So specified sound is not initialized. Oh, this is because I probably have to do the initialize OGG thingy, right? So that's what I have to do. So let me maybe. So it was init sound. F1. So use OGG decoder something something something. Right, something like that, and. So we have sounds. Absolute trading. Absolute trading. Peak trading. Yeah, I know. That's pretty cool. I just wanted to try that. I just wanted to quickly try that. So let's do some 3D. So do we have to use window 3D or just a regular window? Can we just start using engine 3D? So because I feel like we should be able to just start using engine 3D. So PureBasic provides easy access to a very powerful open source 3D engine called Ogre. I know this thing. So you can, oh, it's straight up Ogre. Huh. Well, I mean, annoying freaking Google. Stupid ass Google. This one. So it's built into PureBasic. Do you guys know that? Do you guys know this engine? So I think it existed before Unity or anything like that, right? So it's an Ogre engine. So that's pretty cool. So this choice has been made because we don't like to reinvent the wheel every time. When we saw the Ogre code quality, we felt that, well, I mean, you don't have to justify anything. Come on. All right. So how do we? So there should be something to init. So I remember there was a engine init engine or whatever. doesn't look like it. Okay, so let's actually search init. So what kind of init function? This honestly, this search is garbage. Right, so let me try to find something else. We can try to do init 3D engine. Yeah, init engine 3D. So this is what I remember. So where is that coming from? It's coming from engine. Okay, so I probably just missed it. So initialize the 3D environment for later use. You must put this function at the top of your source code if you want to use any 3D functions. Okay, that's very interesting. So let's actually put it at the very top. We must put that at the very top. Init engine 3D. That is very cool. Okay, so what else can I do in here? Do you have something like start? Not a single example. So there's also open screen, open windowed screen. Interesting. So instead of open a new screen area according to the given parameters on a given window, which must be opened before using open window init sprite. So you have to first create a window, then open windowed screen, and the 3D engine is going to be rendered on that screen that is inside of the window. So, oh no, Augur, I had to use it on graphics programming class. Was it bad? Was it good? Right, I know nothing about Augur. I only heard about it, but I don't really know much about it. Okay. So this one is interesting. So open window, right? So you create a window and stuff like that. So you can even have button gadgets. You can have buttons in here. So open Windows screen, you can create a sprite. You can start drawing and then stop drawing and so on and so forth. Okay, so that's really powerful. All right, so we can take a look at the text 3D that we have opened in here, right? So the way it works, like I intentionally don't really look into examples just to see, right? So like how easy it is to explore things. But so far, I can, like, yeah, we guessed everything correctly. So you initialize engine 3D, right? So then we open window, then we open windowed screen, right? So after that, we just do things. You can create a cube, look at that. And how do you render things? So you can render world. Render world. Let's take a look at that thing. Renders the whole world on the screen. This function should be called, so it is from engine 3D. So render this function should be called once all 3D operations are finished and only one time per frame. Okay, so and then flip buffers, it is from screen. Okay, very interesting. So it's a cooperation between three modules: the window module, the screen module, which then can draw itself on the window, and the engine 3D module that draws itself on the screen, but the screen knows how to put itself on the window, right? So there's a little bit of a hierarchy or abstraction in there going on, or whatever. Parse 3D scripts. Like, why should I care about some 3D scripts? That's weirdly specific. Parses all the material Augur scripts found in a path set add 3D archive. So you add a bunch of 3D archives and then you can parse 3D scripts and it just like loads up a scene or whatever. So that's what's going on. Why they separate modules if they share a namespace anyway? That's a good point, actually. That's a good point. I suppose for the documentation purpose, right? So, because when you read documentation, you see them grouped by sort of like by topics. So they're more like topics, not really namespaces, but more like topics. If I understand correctly. Okay, so we can we have to open a screen, I suppose, now. So I wonder what I can do. Can I just move this kind of stuff in here? So init sound, init OGG sound encoder, so we can load some stuff in here. So do we need console? Console is kind of useful for different things, right? It is in fact kind of useful. So I think I should keep it. I should in fact keep it. So open window, open console, and now let's do open windowed screen. window screen. Let's take a look at this thing. So we have to specify the window ID. So this is ID. Maybe I should have called it window ID. Window ID. And this is a window ID, open window screen. And we also have to specify X and Y, even though we already specified X and Y for the window, right? So can you do full thing? The screen position in a specified window. So essentially you have a window, and within a window you can have a screen smaller than the window itself. Okay, very cool. I don't know what to say, but sure, you can do that apparently. So window ID. So, but let's specify 0, 800 by 600. Honestly, we keep repeating this width and height. Maybe it makes sense to actually save it to variables, right? So height 600. I'm not sure if this is how you like define constant style variables, but let's do it like that. So this is going to be the width, this is going to be height, this is going to be width, and this is going to be height. There we go. So open window screen and then also do some things in here. I'm not sure if we have to do additional things. So yeah, so it also sets 0 for the rest of the parameters in here, which is a bit weird because they are they're optional. You don't have to specify anything in here. So that's kind of bizarre, my friend. That's kind of bizarre, but okay. So here we have a screen ID, I suppose, if I understood correctly. So what's the return value of this entire thing? Non-zero if the screen can be successfully opened, 0 auto. It doesn't matter. Okay, so let's fucking go. Okay, so I'm gonna try to build it, and what does it say? Init sprite must be called successfully for using any screen commands. Fascinating. So you need to initialize the screen, the sprite, before you can do any of that stuff. That's a lot of initialization. I'm starting to doubt that this could be good for teaching programming, right? So, but I mean, this seems to be like already advanced topics. Maybe it's fine, right? So for basic things, right? So loops, variables, if conditions, maybe none of that is really important. Going into 3D is sort of an advanced thing, so not everybody's gonna go there. Redib is way easier. Yeah, I do agree with that. Redib is way easier, but I suspect this thing is more powerful because it literally depends on Augur, which is a 3D engine. So as far as I know, people shipped like games with Augur, like commercial games, right? So this thing ships with a commercial freaking engine, 3D engine. So it's just like, yeah. It teaches the pain of industrial programming. Oh my god. Oh shit. Yeah, that's true. I can feel it. I can already feel it. I sense a familiar pain in the ass. I can already sense it. So anyway, let's actually continue. Too close home, yeah. I'm sorry if it was too loud. The open window screen. So init sprite. By the way, I'm really happy that they tell you exactly what you need to do. So that's pretty cool. I suppose this is basically jumping to the error, right? So if I had several errors in here, it probably jumped several of them. But anyway, so init sprite, and let's actually read about this function. It doesn't have to do anything. Return non-zero, 0 otherwise, right? So it doesn't return any IDs or anything, and it's a sprite module, are well known from game players. These are small pictures, sometimes called brushes. Who calls sprites brushes, which can be displayed? Like, I'm calling it out right. Who calls sprites in game industry brushes? Windows. Maybe in Photoshop. It's like okay. Microsoft calls them brushes. I'm not surprised, honestly. Not surprised. Anyways, so let's actually try to do that. Right, what does it say? Specified window is not initialized. Are you sure? Wait a second. It's not that initialized. It literally doesn't exist. So was it a runtime? It was a runtime error. So it just basically compiled with... undefined variable. Is this a scripting language? Wait a second. Is this not a compile? It's interpreted one. Or am I missing something? This is sus. I was expecting that it will tell me, oh, you don't have ID defined or anything. Is that a toy scripting? It doesn't matter, honestly. So for teaching programming, I don't think whether it's an interpreted language or not interpreted language matters that much. Yeah, people use Python for teaching programming, so it's not that big of a deal. But I mean, this is something that I didn't expect. It defaults to 0. So if you have some uninitialized variables, they just default to 0. It is compiled. Okay, so it is compiled. All right, so I'm happy to hear that. I'm happy to hear that. Okay, so, and... PureBasic. Isn't that amazing? Absolute chudding. Anyway. Oh, I couldn't close it because... Okay. So, kill program. Is there something like a used strict? So it doesn't compile unless like... Oh, and it also complains about... oh, it's assertion. Invisible. So that's sus. Something sus has happened here, but anyway, so what I wanted to do in here is just like a window ID. All right, so that should be fine. So let's try to do it one more time. Fart, close, everything's fine. Cool. All right. So after that, let's take a look at the rest of the things. What we need to do, so we do window event. We have to create a camera and we have to move camera. This is a little bit too annoying. But one of the things, so examine keyboard. So is that from the 3D engine? No, it's from there. There's the keyboard. Ah, yeah, I see. It's basically keyboard input, but not event-based one. Yeah, so it's basically to check the state, which is understandable. Maybe it doesn't really matter. So I have a feeling that what we have to do in here is just basically call these two functions, render world, flip buffers, right? So that's what we have to do in here. Okay, so let's maybe comment out this kind of stuff, all right? And let's copy paste this thing in here, render world, flip buffers. Okay, so we didn't like something. Open screen must be called before using any 3D. But I did call open screen window, didn't I? That's the thing. I did in fact call. So, but it actually kind of errored out somewhere. So examine desktops. And there's a colon in here. This one is weird. Open window, open screen. It's kind of sus. If I run this thing, that's fine. So I have a feeling that maybe I just like did that not in a correct order. But I mean, I just like, yeah. Wait a second. I have to use window ID if I wanna. Is that what I have to do? So for. This is a little bit weird. So, okay, let's actually try to use it the same way it is used in the example. And because of that, by the way, we have to find all the places where we do window ID, right? What's the next one? And just replace it with 0. Let's just replace this stuff with 0. Like so. Okay, so this is 0 and render worlds, and this one has to be 0. Okay, so will you work? It works. Look at that. It doesn't really render anything, right? So because we didn't tell it to render anything, but yeah, I have a feeling that if I do pb any in this specific case and I get some ID, we may even call it win ID. I just don't want to collide with the function name Windows ID because I don't really know how it's going to react to that. Right, so and if I do Windows ID, it's kind of weird that I have to do that. All right, so what does it return? Yeah, unique for the window. So there is just window and a window ID. Okay. Because of that, it's not a really window ID then. It's more of a like window, right? Isn't it? So because of that, we can do window. Let's go through all the places where we use that. And in some places I have to provide the window. In some places I have to provide window ID, and I have to convert between them. So it's kind of weird. Yeah, so it seems to be working. It seems to be working. Cool. So what can we do in here? We can probably create a cube. Right, so what is this function? Create a cube. So mesh size, create a new cube mesh. The number to identify the new mesh. Okay, I really like the consistency of this API, honestly. I really like the consistency. It's like a lot of functions, when they create some sort of object, you can specify ID of the object, or you can ask it to generate the ID by providing PBAny or whatever the fuck it is. Right, so that's kind of cool. So you create a cube, and what does it say? You provide the size, and size in a world unit of the cube, right? So we can try to create a cube, you know, of the size 1, because why not? So let's create a cube. Create cube. So let's use PBAny, right? So this is it's going to return a cube and a size 1. And after that, so what do we do with that? We just like render word and flip buffers. I suppose we just won't see anything on the screen. We just won't see anything on the screen because we don't really even have a camera. Yeah, we don't even have a camera, so there's nothing in there. So we should probably go ahead and create some camera. All right, so you can also create texture materials. This is not something that we probably have to do. You have to create entities. This is a full-blown engine, isn't it? Create a new entity using specified. Why do you have to create an entity just to render things? ECS, yeah. So essentially, it comes with its own ECS. Right, it comes with its own ECS. So yeah. So this is basically a competitor to Unity, essentially. In some sense. You can think of it as Unity. Like, you can make games with that, like a 3D games and shit. Is OOP? I don't know. Is PureBasic OOP? I'm not really sure about that. It's cheaper than Unity for... By the way, speaking of whether it's like worth 79 euros. So, Ogre was OOP, huh? Some even say it's better, Kappa. And this is the first message. Are you the creator of PureBasic? Are the developers of PureBasic in the chat shilling PureBasic? Exposed! Freaking exposed! Anyways, so let's continue. So we need to create a camera. So what exactly is going on? Absolute shooting. Okay, anyway. So create camera. So you have to provide the ID, you have to provide the position. Yeah, you provide width and height. And then you have to move the camera, and when you move the camera, you specify XYZ, but it's a new position. But how do you orient the camera? So that's kind of weird. So the mode, and they just directly say 10. Oh, it's, I see. It's an ID, and this is Z. So we kind of, so Z goes towards us, apparently. I think Z goes towards us. Huh, that's very interesting. So let's take a look at the create camera. You specify X and Y. This is a screen situation. That's understandable. Okay, so yeah, let's fucking go. So this is a camera, X and Y. So, but I want to use PBAny. So this is a PBAny, and this is the camera. So this is what we're going to be doing in here. Okay, and then we need to move camera like this, and so camera, and this is something like 10. And the mode, so we have to do absolute mode. So it actually has several modes in here. Absolute move to the specified position. Okay, so this is just like absolute move. It probably has a rotate camera. Yeah, there we go. So you can do different things with the camera. You can rotate. So you can specify the angles and stuff like that. Does it support quaternions? It probably supports quaternions in some sense. But anyways, okay. So so move the camera. Does it return anything? It doesn't really return anything. Yeah, it doesn't return anything. So we just do that. Okay. Will that make the cube appear? it didn't make the cube appear. So it's not enough to create camera and to create cube. It's just like not enough. So in the original example, the size of the cube, if I'm not mistaken, was actually 2. We can make it a little bit bigger. We can make it a little bit bigger. It's not enough. Still not enough. What else do you have to do to make magical cube appear? Maybe it's black. Maybe. I don't know. So you have to create an entity. So to create an entity, they actually set the material and stuff like that. And maybe this is what we have to do. So let's actually take a look at the entity. Material ID. So can I specify just a color? So there's material none. The material to use to create an entity. To get a valid material ID, use material ID. PB material null can be used as a parameter value to use the dot material script associated with the mesh. Material none. Material ID. And is there no materials, just colors? Yeah, we probably also have to create light. Let's go ahead and create some sort of a light. So text 3D element, we don't really care. Attach entity object. Yeah, so where is the, there's no light in here, or yeah, I don't see any light. So if I just try to, yeah, so there's no light in here, as you can see. There's no light in here. And it's just like does the thing. I have a feeling that you literally have to create an entity, otherwise it's not going to be visible. Oh, you can actually specify 3D color. Well, there's a text 3D color. And yeah, let's take a look at this thing. So it's a text 3D. You can attach a color to this thing, but for the 3D, mesh vertex. Create material can have a color third argument. Okay, that's very interesting. So let's take a look. So in the texture ID can be, okay, thank you so much. Right, so it's kind of not really obvious, right? So there's a lot of things you have to do. Right, it starts up very easy, right? So for noobs, but then when you go into 3D, it kind of, how to say that? You can feel how the professional 3D engine leaking through. You know what I'm talking about? The 3D engine leaks too much through the abstractions. Yeah, it's a game engine. Exactly, it's a game engine, and all of these notions of the 3D game engine, they literally leak into the language and force you to think in terms of the engine rather than just creating cool things. Mom, my abstractions are leaking again. And I'm saying it's something bad. It's kind of difficult to prevent, right? So you have to put a lot of effort into making abstractions to not leak. It's really hard sometimes. It's kind of like, for example, if you use curl library, right? So you basically, the architecture of curl is kind of designed so you don't just use curl on the side, right? So you kind of architecture your application around curl. So it's just like, it's kind of difficult to make curl to not leak through your abstractions that you're trying to build in here. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? It's kind of difficult, but anyway. So yeah, let's create material and shits. So create a cube, create material. So after we created le cube, we create le material, and it can be PB any, right? So it's gonna be material, and we set the texture to null, right? So that's the thing we can put in here as they set. So in the color, you just use RGB. Right? So let's actually use the you know, red color like this. So this is red color, and we got material. After we got material, we have to create an entity with that material. Okay, so I'm gonna do that. Fuck, I fucked it up again. So, and wait a freaking second. Excuse me. Ah, here it is. So, and I can probably do pb any, then mesh ID. So, and I have to probably use this mesh ID thingy. Mesh ID cube material ID, yeah, material. We can call it something like red material because that's fair. So you can actually have several materials in here. And as a result, it probably returns the ID of the entity. So yeah, so entity ID. So this is the entity that we have in here. There we go. Look at the cube. But we're looking right at this thing. We're looking right at that thing. That's pretty interesting. So we're also doing different rotations. Oh, you can rotate a specified entity. That's kind of cool. I can specify the entity and I can rotate it around. So, and what we're doing in here, oh, we keep rotating with the relative term. Okay. I see. That's cool. So that becomes actually, yeah, I really like that. So it's additional sort of like notions of the engine that leaking through, but once you grasp them, they're not that difficult to work with, honestly, right? So you have a mesh, you have some materials, you combine them together, create an entity, and as soon as you create entity and as soon as you put camera into the world, right, so it all just works. So that's pretty cool. Is zero entity ID an example? Yeah, exactly. I suppose they try to keep this example not very noisy because as soon as you start using pb_any, it kind of becomes noisy with these hashes. Maybe they were afraid that maybe the people who learning that going to be afraid or something. Or maybe it just simplifies the code. You just use 000 everywhere and yeah, it just works like that. Maybe that was the point in here, I don't know. But I kind of want to like, I want to do it like that, right? So because I want to have names associated with the IDs, so I know what I put in there. Because if I create another cube in here, right, I want to somehow differentiate them, right? So I want to somehow differentiate them. Okay, so let's actually rotate this entire thing and see what we can do in here. So rotate entity, right? So how we're going to be rotating the entity? So let's actually rotate it maybe around z axis. So rotate to apply in degrees valid to, yeah, so 360. You're using degrees, huh? Very interesting, but I mean that's fine. So let's actually try to rotate maybe this, and it's gonna be pb relative. Okay. Yeah, I copy pasted shit and I closed this thing. Wait, it says that. Oh my god. Wait. Oh, I thought that maybe I already went over the limit. Oh, I didn't actually went over the limit. So yeah, I need to specify the entity in here. So I have to provide the entity, which is the cube. Well, I mean, it's just called entity. Right? Entity. All right. Is it rotating at all, or is it rotating too slowly? I'm not quite sure. Right, so maybe, what if I put 10 in here? But it's, I was expecting that it's gonna, I think I fucked up something. I should have actually provided like additional 0 in here. I didn't fully provide everything. Yeah, now. Seems to be working. Look at that. Look at that. Look at the cube. Look at the cube. Isn't that polos? I think that's pretty freaking polos. So we can change things. It's not really fully red, maybe because we don't have any lighting or anything. Right, so we can maybe specify something like green material, right? So we can have a green material, which is basically sets the green part as FF, and we can now create this kind of thing. So now it is a green material. We can maybe make a cube a little bit bigger, right? So it's now 3. So as you can see, it is a bit bigger. Green cube, yeah, that's pretty cool. So we can also change the rotation, like axis of rotation. So now it should be rotating all over the place, right? It's kind of boring, honestly. But what if I make rotating just that? Yeah, it's kind of fun. By the way, farting doesn't work anymore. Yeah, so this thing doesn't detect the click on a window anymore, unfortunately. That is really interesting. Is that because we're not examining the keyboard? Is that something that we have to do? So updates the keyboard state. This function has to be called before using keyboard in, keyboard pushed and released and stuff like that. So, okay, let's try to do that after we drained all of these things. All right, so, and yeah, so you need to initialize keyboard if you want to do this kind of thing. Okay. Let's initialize the keyboard. Init keyboard. The fart doesn't work. So many inits. So it starts up really strong in terms of its capability, in terms of its simplicity. But then as you go further and further in more advanced features, you start to feel that some of them were kind of duct tape on top of this entire thing. You can only fart so much. Yeah, I agree with that. Silent fart. It was a silent fart. Oh, we'll probably also. Why didn't I need to initialize mouse before that? Right, so that's kind of sus in my opinion. We can initialize the mouse, but I mean, that we need chat. We need to fix the fart. We need to fix the fart. What the fuck? So this thing doesn't work anymore, and it's yeah. So it's probably not yeah, it's probably not how you have to handle all that stuff anymore. Keyboard pushed. So this is a keyboard. Let's take a look at, maybe there should be mouse. Mouse button. So returns you if the specified button number is not pressed. Returns the, okay. So that means we can kind of actually do a similar thing where we just like, while that, just drain all of this stuff. Just simply drain all of this thing, right? Yeah, so we can take a look at them. Though, let's do it like this. Is that a good idea, honestly? You know what? No, what? So I want to do if not event. I'm just thinking how to better organize all of that, because let's actually do the following thing, because I want to handle close window, right? So repeat if where did you go? If event equal close window, right? If close window, then can you just exit? Is there something like exit or quit? Does anybody know halt? How to exit? Quit, return, close. There's no way out, chat. There's no way. How do I exit this entire thing? So don't fight against go to is a classical basic end. Well, okay, so let me try to take a look. So end without so just end. Okay, so I just want to end, otherwise break, and yeah, while not event until, yeah, so this is basically what I want to do. And because of that, we can try to do something like this, right? So this is event. If it's closed window, we end the whole thing, and we do that until not event. Repeat until. Well, that's literally what I'm doing. What I saying. Anyways, so now we need to do forever. Am I doing everything correctly? So here we're just like repeating this entire thing forever, and And then I close it. Okay, everything seems to be working as intended. Okay, so in here, what we want to do, is there something like examine mouse? Yeah, there is. It's kind of similar to examine keyboard. Right, essentially, so I presume it kind of like takes all of the events that were received and it just modifies the state of these functions like mouse, button, and so on and so forth. All right, so now after that, if mouse button PB, mouse button left, yeah, like this, and if what we have to do, can you just align it properly, please? We have to play this sound fart. Play sound. Sound. I keep forgetting that you have to press tab. Fart. Absolute shredding. We have rotating cube. We have the fart. So that's basically PureBasic for you. That's basically PureBasic. So yeah. I looked at it again, it's all right. It's kind of all right. But I'm still not sure if it's worth $79. And it's only for a single user, by the way. It's only for a single user. For educational, yeah. 79, yeah, 79 euros. Would I pay for that 79 euros? No. Right, but maybe, again, for educational organizations, schools, universities, maybe it's nothing. And I feel like this is basically the target audience of this project anyway, right? So again, individuals are not going to pay for that for sure, right? So, but for universities, just like whatever. It's like, you know, tennis. 200 for classroom license, yeah. And honestly, like teaching programming using this thing is kind of pleasant. I want to be able to let the students run this on their machine, right? And maybe there is a license that allows like to give the students like for free, you know, some instance in here to experiment at home. I think there should be option to do that. Maybe for individual users, it should be free. For educational and for companies, it may be paid, but for single user, like I don't really see any point in but again, so there is, you can use everything. There's the only limitations in here is the size of the program, right? So maybe that's fine, right? So the only limitation size of the program, and it's kind of difficult to exceed 800 lines, right? Unless you're like writing some sort of a complicated game. Unless you kind of write in a complicated game. Okay, so we're looking at PureBasic. Yeah, it's a cool educational thing. So I guess that's it for today. So by the way, so I need to probably acknowledge the subs. Let's acknowledge the subs. So where did I stop? I think I stopped here. J Lewis 05, thank you so much. R Bags, thank you so much. No Name Guy, thank you so much. Andy Otter, thank you so much for the sub with the message. After this many years, I managed to come. Congratulations on a fucking coming. All right, that's it for today. Thanks everyone who's watching right now. Really appreciate it. Have a good one, and I see you all on the next recreation programming session with Mr. Azuzin, as usual. Love you. Mwah.